Hello and welcome to the Morning Serve. Thanks to TikTok. I'm Emma Lawrence, joined by Elena Dokic. Elena, let's just get straight in to our TikTok moment of the day. Daniil Medvedev and his post-match interview where he made a little joke about his physique.
I also thought about probably a lot of people saw on social media photos of Martin after his match.
Vucevic, yeah, who looked like Thor.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little bit less muscles than him, so it was also to laugh about myself because I must see the photo. I do think I have a little bit of muscles, but definitely not too much.
Now, he hasn't always been like that, but how good is it that Daniil Medvedev is starting to use that crowd and interact with them a bit more?
He's actually quite funny,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of coming through now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was phenomenal, and I think he's really good at making fun of himself as well. And yeah, it's great that he's doing it with the crowd, that we're seeing it in these post-match interviews as well. And I think it gives also the crowd and the fans and the tennis fans and his fans a bit of a more insight into who he is. So it's fantastic to see that and to have him here.
Do you think it is important, particularly in modern tennis, to have the crowd on your side or to get them involved in some capacity?
Look, I think so, but I think he's also been someone who in the past doesn't mind it.
Yeah.
Like he actually doesn't mind if the crowd is not on his side. We've seen that. We've seen that in New York a couple of years ago, and then now he's one of the favourites there. So I think he really has this very likeable side to him as well, and I think he is one of those guys that's able to get the crowd on his side, and he is, like I said, quite funny. He's obviously a great tennis player, but there is something, I think, very mysterious about him as well, and we're seeing it. He's got very funny interviews and press conferences as well, and it's great to see another side of him.
Do you think, or whether it's Daniil or whether it's anyone, what's that balance between soaking up the crowd and using the energy, but then I guess when you need to focus, being able to block it out? I imagine it's a very fine balance.
It is a fine balance, and everyone is different. So some people really like to use the crowd, others don't, and they don't give much away. So it is a fine line, and you also have to be careful with how it impacts your game as well. What part of the match it is, the tournament as well, is it the beginning or the latter stages? So there's a lot that goes into it. It also depends if you're playing your home slam as well. So yeah, it's very different for different people. For example, I really liked to use the crowd and feed off them as well, but also give them that energy and intensity, especially in tight matches and 3-set matches. So look, everyone's different, and I think we're seeing that with different players come through.
And how far can you see Medvedev going at this Open?
Look, I think he can go very far, not just because he's one of the best players in the world, but he was in the final here last year as well. He almost beat Nadal, had 2 sets to love and a break in that 3rd set, and that wasn't an easy one for him to not actually go through and win. But he's a Grand Slam champion, and especially when you've done that before, you're always a contender, and especially on hard court, because he's such a good player on hard court, he's one of the favourites. I think he can go very far. And also, don't forget, he's actually not on Novak's side as well. So there's Tsitsipas still there, but I think you have to go with Daniil as being one of the favourites to actually get through to the final.
Well, let's talk about some of the Aussies, and particularly the young ones, the likes of Rinky Hijikata, Olivia Gadecki. It's been so great to see them on display. How much will this launch, I guess, be a platform for their careers, and how much can we see from them over the next 2-3 years?
I think we'll see a lot of them, and they're both very young, so let's not forget that. They've been able to win a match at a Grand Slam, and that is huge, and we've seen huge potential from them, how good their games are, but also for me, the way that they carry themselves, and they're great competitors, fighters as well. These points and also the prize money will go a long way into helping them plan and fund the rest of the year as well, which is so important. So that's what these big occasions are also all about. So they've done that. They've given themselves that opportunity. I do think it's now important to just try and continue that on some of the smaller tournaments that are going to have to continue playing. And the next step is, Grand Slam qualifying and Grand Slam main draws and how well they do there. But we've seen some great potential. It will probably take another year or two to really get themselves ready for this big stage, but this was a great start, and I do expect a lot from them actually. I love what I've seen with their games and how well they compete.
You mentioned the payday. If you're young and you haven't really won titles yet, how much of a factor is that? Because traveling around the world, and if you don't have sponsors yet, it can be the difference between your career really going from here and taking off, can't it?
Yeah, it's huge because it really can set up the rest of the year, whether you have a coach, whether you have a fitness trainer, what tournaments you go to. And it really takes the pressure off knowing, okay, you know, I'm pretty much set for the year no matter what happens. And sometimes we don't talk a lot about that, but tennis players that are especially not in the top 50 in the world, and let alone outside the top 100, these are the things that you do have to worry about and taking into account, and it's important for the future of your tennis.
Well, talking about young guns, Coco Gauff,
Yeah.
she's only 18 years old still, just reached 100 career wins, the youngest to do so since Caroline Wozniacki back in 2009. Gee, she is an impressive young athlete.
She's already breaking records
Yeah.
at 18 years of age, but we feel like we've seen her already for a very long time on the tour because she was winning at Wimbledon already at 15. She got to the 4th round. She's now a Grand Slam finalist. Last year she got to the Roland Garros final. She's top 10 in the world, and yeah, she's really now getting to the top of the game, but she's still only 18. So to already have 100 match wins at a Grand Slam, I mean, that is massive. And yeah, look, for me, she's the future of tennis, but she's actually here already. So it would be, I think, look, whether she's going to win the Australian Open this year or not, we don't know. We'll obviously see that. I do see her as a champion here in the future, multiple Grand Slam champion as well. She's an incredible athlete, but also when you watch her, she looks like she's been on tour for more than 10 years, not a couple of years, and she certainly doesn't look like she's 18 when she goes out there and competes. That's how mature she is.
A little quirk, she said that she can't actually look at her parents in the box because she said their nerves rub off on her. Is that a common thing? Do you know of any other players that have something similar?
Oh yeah, look, again, it's one of those things where every player is different. I think in general, yes, it's hard to sometimes look at your player box, and I actually had that sometimes with my player box and coaches and the rest of your team, where you kind of want them to always look really positive and not nervous. If they look nervous, it makes you nervous. But yeah, look, I get it, and they've been there, although with her through every single thing that she's been through, from juniors as well, since she started playing tennis. They're actually former athletes as well. They all traveled together. They're a huge support to her as well, but I think it's also because she really wants to do well and make them proud, so I actually understand that.
And she's on track for a quarter-final appearance with the world number 1 Iga Swiatek. Can you see things panning out that way? And could she get the job done against Iga?
Yeah, look, there's still a little bit to play out, but yeah, I do see them both getting to the quarterfinals, and what a match that would be. I mean, that would be amazing. In a way, unfortunate that they have to meet that early still, but it would be great. I think we would really see what the future of women's tennis looks like. Iga in great form. She's the world number 1, and Coco Gauff, she's up there. She's coming. She's one of the Grand Slam contenders and one of the favourites now whenever she plays.
We have to talk about Rafa. It was, I think, a sad moment for many when he was eliminated, but did so just with class, as he's done so throughout his entire career. He's been in the top 10 for 18 years, the longest streak of anyone. Is it hard to put into words, or can you put into words, the career of Rafael Nadal?
It's hard to put into words. It's actually really hard to believe the fact that he's been in the top 10 for 18 years, even with all the injuries that he's had. I know we talk about the 22 Grand Slam titles and everything that he's accomplished, but that is a big one. To be almost 20 years inside the top 10 consistently, that says everything about his career, his consistency, how well he competes, and how well he fights, even with all the injuries he's had. He was all class yesterday. It was actually, really hard to watch, and he really didn't want to retire as a defending champion. He really doesn't like doing it, no matter how hurt he is. I'm not sure what it would take to stop Rafael Nadal finishing a match, and that says everything you need to know about him. So look, yesterday it was sad to see. I think he has struggled with injuries, especially since that ab tear at Wimbledon. So let's hope he can get back on track with his body. Not just, I think, in the next kind of 12 months, but even just to be here, hopefully, next year. We would love to see him back here again, wouldn't we? And I don't think he's done. I don't think his career is down, and I really hope I'm right, and I hope we get to see him here next year.
So how do you think Rafael Nadal, fingers crossed he comes back, but how will we love him here? How will he best be remembered by Aussie fans?
Look, he's been a champion here, but he's also had some tough moments as well with injuries here and some tough finals as well. I think wherever he goes, and whether that's in Australia or anywhere else in the world, he gets love wherever he goes, and he gives all of that love back to us as well. He's just one of those people, when you see him, he puts a smile on your face, but at the same time when he's on court and he competes, he gives you this incredible energy and motivation and fighting spirit even after you stop watching his matches. So yeah, I really do hope we get to see him in Melbourne again. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Rafa, for everything. Yelena, thank you for today. And thank you everyone for joining us on The Morning Serve, thanks to TikTok.